Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it going, guys?
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
We
now
can
I'm
indeed hear you.
trying to make you all co-host. There we go. That's gonna mess that up. Okay. I'll let everybody else in. Okay, everyone. Welcome to our monthly Zoom meeting. It is the end of February and snowing. Just in time for boys' high school season to get started. Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay,
Perfect.
we will get us started here. So we'll talk a little bit about high school officiating, a little bit about referee opportunities and advancement. Cody's gonna relaunch our referee academy program and definitely have questions for you. And please ask questions as we go along here. And I think between the Zips and Rachel, they'll help me with the chat, or someone can help me with the chat since I can't see it on my screen. Okay, so first of all, with starting off the high school season, want to remind everybody who are officiating high school games, make sure you update your blocks on the website so that your chances of being text about covering games may be cut in half. The self-assign is up and running. Just remind everybody, it only releases games 30 days out in advance. So right now, I think we're somewhere like in March 27th of games being available for self-assign. And then lastly, match reports do need to be completed by the center official. You want to get that done the day of the game, because if you don't get it completed before midnight, you then the whole crew loses out a percentage of the match fee for it being turned in late. And you don't want to get text by me the following morning to get your match report done. Any questions from anybody in regards to the logistics of the arbiter, using arbiter for games? Okay. I've just put together a collage of comments that I have heard on the field that I recommend you not use on any of your games as ways to motivate players to get back up and moving. It's important that as the officials, we are setting the tone of the game. And when we start to use comments like this, where either spectators, players, or coaches can hear them, it starts to set a unprofessional setting, and you probably will find your game becoming more difficult faster than you setting that higher standard of professionalism. So please keep these comments as ones not to use, and I'm sure that many of you have heard other comments that your officials have said on your crew that you cringe when you hear them. So let's try to avoid these, and maybe that will help games go a little bit easier. Just want to remind the emphasis on players' equipment. We should always be making sure that our players' equipment is safe in all of our games and that our players are appropriately equipped. In high school, we do have the process of that the first issue with equipment, we are supposed to caution the coach, and then after that, cautions would go to the players for not being properly equipped. But I think we can all find ways to make sure that we're checking that prior to kickoff, making sure the captains are having their players make sure their jewelry is gone, and or I know that players can easily need a substitute to fix equipment, and that way it's taken care of without misconducts. But misconducts is a tool that we have in this our tool chest. Any questions? And then do remember that the home team gets to wear their dark colors and the away team is to wear white. I know that some of our high school coaches like to create issues around this, but that is the high school rule now. Anybody have any questions about the players' equipment? Okay. So kind of the emphasis for this year, we covered this in the fall, and I think this is an emphasis for all of our games about sportsmanship. We want to create and we need to provide a safe player setting where we have good sportsmanship. And when we don't have good sportsmanship, that's when we need to use our tools to help make sure that our game is a positive experience and not a negative one for all participants. We're going to walk through the harassment and discrimination process that the high school has deployed for all of their games. They changed it at the end of the year, so we want to make sure that we're all know what we're supposed to, how we're supposed to handle those now. WIAA did start a sportsmanship survey, so all of you will receive emails after your game asking you to rate the sportsmanship of the teams, both the home and away. A scale of 1 means that you felt the sportsmanship of the coach and or the site management was horrible, and you need to provide us what was the issue in regards to them. We do. And then if there are 5, they should be bringing you popcorn or something else in the locker room, maybe heated blankets to get a 5. But because again, we get the 5s, and I'm looking for good stuff there. Otherwise, in between there is, you know, what we should expect as officials and the sportsmanship of our host. We do look at the 1s and the 5s. 1s get addressed. We follow up with the schools to make sure that the athletic directors are taking care of any of those issues. And just on a call the other day with Todd Stortle, who's executive director of WOA, they had an official who had put down a 1 because of how they were treated by the management staff at the event. And the AD was very appreciative that the officials had provided that information because that wasn't the expectations he had outlined for his management. So this is a good way for us to be able to provide athletic directors information to solve problems that they may have. And then again, about handling Ryan and I are providing education to our coaches to try to have them have a better understanding in regards to handling, as well as offside and deliberate play. And then I think it's important about consistency. And when we talk about consistency, I want everybody to think about their games. I know that when I officiate a match, I'm not going to have the same foul selection as what Wayne is going to have for his match. But within my match, I think the coaches, the players, and the spectators are looking that if I'm calling a handling, next time that the same type of play occurs, everyone will expect that I again call that handling foul. And then Wayne, in regards to his definition of handling, he may be more conservative and call it more often, but the spectators and the players and the coaches understand what Wayne's definition of handling is, and Wayne's consistent with that definition throughout the match. So please, in your matches, through your foul selection, how you're dealing with the players, in your game management, let's see how much consistency we can provide them, so that way they can predict, based on what's happening on the field, what to expect as the outcome of either a foul being called or a foul not being called. So WIAA is really working hard to improve the atmosphere of their matches. And I would say that even all of our youth clubs are working hard to improve the sportsmanship around their matches as well. And across all the leagues that we officiate through the school and or youth clubs, there's a coach's code of conduct. And so that way coaches know exactly what it is that's expected of them. This is the particular one that WIAA has provided to the coaches of high school games and middle school games. I think that a dynamic that Ryan's really honed in on is that sometimes we experience that the coaches may, they, especially for high school, well, and for youth that matter, high school, they're spending almost 8 weeks with these players. They're doing practice or games 5 nights a week. And it becomes, maybe more friendship than that coach-player relationship. And I think we're finding a lot of our coaches to be closer in age to the players than maybe they had been in the past. And I think that's an important piece to recognize, because I think sometimes as officials, we may get thrown under the bus by coaches in order for them to kind of show that to the players that they're the one that they're sticking up for their players. And I think we just recognizing that dynamic may help you in how you approach a coach in regards to the situation that you're trying to diffuse. And I think that's the important part here, is that when we are having issues with the coaches and their behavior, they have their code of conduct, so they know how they should behave, but we just need to enforce that and do it in a professional manner. And hopefully that will get them back on the same page as what the expectations are of their behavior. Here's the code of conduct for officials. Unfortunately, we are tasked with being the one that kind of needs to set the tone out there on the pitch. And I think when we show up and we provide that professionalism by being appropriately dressed for the match, we look like an official, we're able to go out there and keep up with play, have the fitness that the game needs. We know the laws of the game, and so that way when the fouls occur and or the issues happen on the field where we have to use some personality, we are able to do that for the game. I think the important part is not exhibit our emotions. We need to, again, be that higher standard and bring a calmness to the situation as opposed to throwing gasoline onto the fire. Anybody have any questions in regards to the expectations of us as officials on the pitch? I think it's really important here that one of the boxes here is about making sure that we shake the hands of the coaches when we go up and get our rosters. We're introducing ourselves to the game management of the site, and then that we're also shaking hands with the players, usually after they do the national anthem. And then we need to stick around and shake the hands of the participants after the game. We shouldn't do things on the field where we feel like we can't shake the hands of the participants after the match has concluded. And as most of you probably have experienced, we've had those matches that's been very rough and very difficult. Maybe the coaches yelled at us more than what we wanted. And 99% of the time, they come out and thank us for a great job that we've done for that game. And then last, or no, actually, second to the last is the code of conduct for participants. Big piece there is hoping that they'll accept the decisions of the game, us providing consistency in the match so that way they know what to expect will help in them in accepting your decisions. And they know that they're not supposed to have offensive gestures or language, and that they need to have good sportsmanship for the games. And spectators, again, here's their code of conduct, making sure that they're there to cheer on their team and their sons and daughters, making sure that they're being professional and not yelling and screaming, and then definitely staying off the field of play and not interrupting the game. And administration is there to have the right policies and procedures in place to make sure that they promote the codes that each of the participants need to adhere to. They're there to go to in case we do have issues and need to deal with those issues during the game. And again, that's the important part of making sure you know who the game management person is or who's representing administration at the game. So if you need to go down that path, you're able to find them easily. And sometimes that is going to be the coach. And I really recommend that if it is the coach, that if you need to deal with something that is on an administrative side, a great way to open that door with the coach is to come over and say, hey, coach, I'm here to talk to you about an issue in your administration hat. And we need to talk about this issue in regards to your role of being the administrator today. That way, maybe you'll get the coach understanding how they need to respond to the issue at hand. Any questions about the code of conducts for each of the participants involved in our matches? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the discriminatory behavior. And again, this process is something that has been put together by WIAA and WOA to hopefully improve and lessen the discriminatory behavior that has crept into our games. And unfortunately, we don't only see this on our high school games, but I think we see it on our club games and even our adult games. This process is laid out for high school games. I know that a couple people have kind of modified this on youth games a couple times, which it ended up being effective, but it's not a process in which the youth clubs have endorsed it at this time. So what is discriminatory behavior? I think that this slide lays it out pretty well. I think we all know when we hear it. It's what we don't like about our games when it does happen. And I think what is important here is that WIAA wants us to deal with it and expects us to deal with it when it does occur. And so based on any of these comments of, whether race, ethnicity, gender, disability, religion, age, etc., if it's personal, directed, and provocative comments, we need to take care of it. So there's a few different ways on how this will come to you as the really the game management of our games. One, you're going to hear it as an official yourself from one player to another, and it is expected of you to deal with it in regards to the laws of the game. And so if it is, just unsporting behavior based on the comment, but fits in that discriminatory definition, that's a yellow card. Unfortunately, a lot of these types of incidents that is from player to player often actually results in it becomes foul and abusive language, and it is dealt with a red card a majority of the time. Once you've dealt with the issue at hand of being on the pitch, then you need to speak to both coaches, let them know what occurred during that incident, and that they need to talk with their teams and let them know what the expected behaviors are for the remainder of the competition of that not being tolerated. While the coaches are talking with their teams, you should be alerting the game management and letting them know what happened, so that way they are aware of the issue. Fourthly, the official needs to make sure they report the incident to the assigner at the conclusion of the contest. Just like red cards, that's Ryan. So you need to let Ryan know of the issue that happened in your game. Anybody have questions in regards to when you are the one that identifies the discriminatory behavior and what steps you need to take in regards to that single incident?
Richard, could you please talk about what I thought you said regarding a yellow card if you hear a discriminatory comment?
What I said was that depending upon what was said, I'm not saying that a discriminatory comment would end up into the caution. I think that everybody on this call knows what the difference between a yellow card offense is and what a red card offense is. And I think at some points you could potentially have a yellow card, but a majority of times the discriminatory behavior is going to fall into the red card arena. Does that help, Ryan?
It seems to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll jump into what happens when it's reported to an official by a student or coach. Again, you're going to stop the game, send the teams to their benches, let your other crew members know what's been reported to you, bring the coaches and captains together, explain to them what has happened. Again, they then need to return to their benches so that they can tell their teams what has been reported and that the expectation that it will not continue. We then need to, while the conversation's going on between the coaches and their teams, let the game event management know what has happened. And so that way they are able to follow up on anything after the game as necessary. And then again, you need to let Ryan know that you've had an incident, that discriminatory behavior that happened during your game. What's the major difference between this one and when an official is the one that identified the discriminatory behavior? Out of 85 people, nobody knows what the difference
All right,
between.
come on.
Card,
Come on, Richard.
card.
Yep. We don't have a card in this one.
Yeah,
Um,
the kind of,
Yeah.
Richard,
So
I have not heard you say the harassing word.
I haven't used the harassing word.
You have not said it. This is also a discriminatory and harassing behavior policy.
Yeah, I think it was on the first slide of this section.
Sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't get all my slides caught up.
So can you clarify something for me, Richard?
Yeah.
So if you don't hear it and someone says it to you, that they report it, so we're going to stop and talk. But if you hear it, to me, there's nothing to talk about. If you actually hear it yourself, then it just should be an automatic red, correct?
Right, it is. And then
Okay.
we then have to follow the process of informing the coaches and the captain of what happened. We have to have the coaches then go and tell the players that this is what happened, and the expectation is this will not continue through the rest of the match. We have to let the game event management know what happened, so that way if something happens, continues to happen, they're prepared for that. And then we have to report it to the assigner, which you would anyways because it's a red card.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that help, Ray?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Next is
Richard.
yes, Elmer.
Is the clock running? Are we adding time to the half or to the end for stoppage?
Yes, we should be adding the appropriate stoppage time to the match to deal with these situations like we would as in issuing a red card.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
if a game continues to have these issues, I know that my stoppage time would become probably less than maybe someone who was actually timing how much time we stopped. So next, the discriminatory or harassing behavior is reported by event management, is reported to event management by official or student or coach. So if it goes directly there, most likely it's not going to be the official, but it could be a student coach to event management. They will alert the officials to stop the game, let you know what it is that took place, so that way then the coaches and captains can be discussed. They can return to their athletes and let them know of what occurred and that it's not tolerated. And then the officials and event management should continue to be in communication in case it continues to happen. Most likely this is going to be something that happens in the stands. And so it's going to be hopefully mostly out of our jurisdiction to handle, and we won't have to be as involved with it. But again, if you have one of these incidents, again, you need to make sure that you call Ryan afterwards to let him know what happened. So we have three different ways that this is going to be recognized. One is the official is going to recognize it, use the laws of the game to appropriately punish the individual for it or individuals. Two, we may have a coach or player say something to you as an official, that something was said that was discriminatory or harassing on the pitch, and we're going to stop the game and we're going to follow the same protocol to have it handled and let them know that this will not be tolerated. And then thirdly, you may have the event management who recognizes an issue occurring, most likely maybe in the technical area, but more likely the spectators, which the game again will stop, so that way the event management can handle that with the spectators, but us still informing the coaches and players of what occurred. Now, hopefully after the first time that this happens, it will solve the problem. But sometimes it has not solved the problem. And what got changed at the end of the fall season was really that it is game management who determines whether or not to terminate the contest. It is not in the officials' scope of responsibility to say, okay, this is the fourth time this has happened. We now need to, we're now terminating the game. We would only be terminating a game because we find that the game is unsafe for the participants to continue on in regards to weather and or maybe physical harm to the participants. I think that, and relating this back to Elmer's question about stoppage time, if event management continues to have this and continue the game on and they don't put an end to the contest, and this behavior continues to happen, that's where stoppage time may not be needed for the match in the overall picture. Anybody have any questions in regards to the discriminatory and harassing protocol?
Yes, Richard, I do.
Thank you, Dave.
So here is my question for you. You get into a game, it's spicy, you're over your skis and you don't know it. A number of occurrences take place. It's not our responsibility to end the game. The game administration thinks everything's fine, but you don't as a referee and as a crew. You recommend that they stop and call you, or how do you want that handled?
Yeah, if you're gonna terminate a game, and especially if it's more what I'm hearing, Dave, on you as the crew, that definitely needs a call to the assigner to say, hey, we've got problems, and this is what we want to do.
You would hope the administrative people at the site would be adults and they would look at it and go, hey, this has to come to a stop. That if we don't get to make the decision on that sort of thing, yeah, wow, okay, all right.
Yeah, I have a question. Do we know if usually funny or funky rules come about because of incidents, right? Do we know if something like this has happened where game management waited, or that they took on were given the responsibility of being the one or the authority to terminate matches ultimately? Do we know of anything, or is this just kind of coming out of left field?
I would say in soccer, this has been a bigger issue in football, is my understanding.
Okay.
And what has driven a lot of this. I want to say that I think Ryan's on, but I think we've had in the NSO area, we've had one incident that followed this protocol. Dave and Brian, how many times has this happened in your very large geographical area up north?
Arm, you have an answer? I'm not aware of any times that we've had this happen. I know it came up in football a lot where it's like, you knock it off or else. No, we really mean it. No, we really mean it. And the administrative people now, the state said, hey, we need somebody that's going to be responsible for a decision. And so they asked the people that are running the schools or the admin people to do it. I don't know that we've had any in our area, but I expect it'd be good for us to be well prepared.
Yeah.
I can say that in other sports like football, it was actually used as a tactic to end the game in your favor early.
I think we had a hand up at one point by somebody.
Brandon.
Hey, that's me. Hey, so I've never also come across this even happening, even by watching, but so in the event, just for fun, that something escalated to this point, as a referee crew, do you literally like blow the whistle, stop the match, walk over to your bag, grab your cell phone, call the assigner? You just, that's what you do?
No, you don't need to call I think the assigner part was coming into the part where Dave felt like the crew felt like they had gotten over their skis and didn't know what to do next.
Got it. Okay.
No,
So
in that
you would just
protocol, there
you would
was no
walk the event
calling.
management. Got
Yeah,
it.
event management's the one that's running things at the contest.
Okay.
And that's who we need to work through. And they're the ones that are determining whether or not a contest should be ended because of following the protocol isn't correcting the problem.
And you said sometimes that happens to be the home team coach,
Yes.
and that obviously there's bias involved there because of being human beings, but they should, you were saying earlier, kind of act in a way, or preface the conversation with, hey coach, right now I need you to put on your admin hat, right? And then try to, okay. All right. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah.
And then just reinforcing as a reminder, if you are ever in a situation where you want to do something different than the site administration, before you blow your final whistle to let everyone know the event is canceled by your choice, we need you to call either Richard or I and confirm that. But it's always decided by the site administrator. But if you want to go against that policy, please call us before you choose to do so.
Okay, so call before you want to end a contest because of safety issues against the crew. Okay, all right, got it.
What about if the activity is directed at the referee? A lot of this, what we're talking about, is player to player. What about player to referee, adult administrator, coach to referee, fans to referee? There are those, I don't know how many young ladies will be reffing games this year, and those of us of color, because I know that a couple years ago, I took my little guy with me, and the conversation at home was, why were they calling you the N-word while you were reffing the game? And he was hearing it in the stands. I wish he would have told me during the game, but but it happens. I worked a youth game recently, and I'll just say this, I'm helping out when I'm working a youth game. And I got some dude, looking at me, and believe me, as an African American, I get fussed at a lot more than a lot of other people do on a regular basis. And my poop doesn't smell as bad as everybody else's, if you get my drift. And we get it all the time. So what is the
Same thing,
guidance? What is the
Same
guidance?
thing, same stuff. If you hear it, they're gone. If it's
Okay,
in the
cool.
stands, you stop the game.
Thank you.
Same thing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but going back to the when I made that comment, it was more around the discriminatory and harassing behavior. If you're wanting to go against the policy of the site administrator, you need to call us. If you guys are fearful of your own safety as referees, then you fall back on the other USSF guideline, which is you abandon the match. But you'd still need to call me after the game anyway. If you were terminating the match because of referee safety, that could be harassing, discriminatory behavior resulting in referee safety issues. That's a very gray area, but you should not continue a contest where you feel like your safety is at risk.
Well, I think that's my issue. It's not about my safety. It doesn't need to get to I think getting to one's safety is not the issue. They've already crossed the line by things that are being said. And I think that's where, when I kind of was tipped off about this, and I wish it was even a stronger. It's almost like we've gone backwards a little bit to make it easy to give chance. Are we given chances or not? But again, that's the hard part for me. I wish that it was zero tolerance. That would be more. I would be more a fan of that than anything else if you wanted to stop. But as you said, this is in other sports and it's trickling down to soccer. But if we're prepared, let's be prepared to do it the right way and not follow the same negative footsteps that apparently football is doing with so many chances. How many chances do you get to say something bad to somebody?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move us on in the agenda here. I want to make sure I leave enough time for Cody. I just want to remind everybody, as we officiate games, the thought process I like to use for everyone is you are the chief executive officer of that game and responsible for managing it and providing a safe environment, which comes into your role as the safety officer. We want everyone to leave the field and most of the time without being injured. Unfortunately, some injuries do happen, but we need to make sure we're calling the small stuff and the simple fouls, so that way we don't have to put our safety officer hat on maybe as often. You know, whether we're doing high school games where people have to pay to get into the stadium, or we're doing our youth games on the weekends where parents are paying a lot of money to have their players join clubs. They are the customers of our product. And so we need to provide a good product so that way the customers are satisfied with the job that we've provided. And when they walk away, they felt like they had an even chance to win that game just as much as the opponent. And we do have, you know, clients. WIAA has WOA to be able to find appropriate officials. All of the assigners for the clubs are looking for referees to officiate their matches to provide a good product to their client. So that way the client continues to utilize them as an assigner and NSO as the referee association. And so we need to make sure that consistency of our product is provided so that way the customers and the clients want to continue our services. I know that not everybody on this call is maybe extroverted. I'm sure there's a lot of people who may more see themselves as introverted. But as a referee official, we need to have a personality that's able to show the confidence that we know how to officiate the game. We go out there and keep up with play, even though after the game or the next morning it's harder to get out of bed, but that it demonstrates that we are there to officiate the game at the level that the players are playing the game. So these are just some concepts I like to kind of share with officials as they think about the different roles that they're providing our customers on the games that you're officiating, to be able to provide a entertaining environment for all participants involved. A big thing here is here's the items that all of you have control over, making sure that when you show up, you look professional, you look the part, and that you're ready to officiate the game. Do it in a professional manner. I know that sometimes during our seasons, they become long. We sometimes feel like stooping to the level of the coaches or the players. We need to try to hold ourselves to a higher bar and not make snide comments, be compassionate towards the participants so that they feel that we're genuine in regards to how we're officiating their game. Fitness always helps in this sport of officiating, being able to keep up with play and get to where we need to be to sell the call, whether we get the call right or wrong. Making sure that you're not over scheduling yourself for games so that you're not giving it your 110% each time you go out there. Keeping your blocks up to date as we try to find officials at last minute because of late turnbacks, etc. And as we get started with the season, there will be opportunities where we need to challenge some of you to a higher level than maybe you've officiated in the past. And I just encourage you to take those opportunities and make the best of it. With that, Ryan, is there anything else you wanted to add about high school officiating for the spring?
Just actually just one thing. Last year we did have a pretty rough start, to the season when it came to red cards. And I did have a conversation with one of the leagues. And we came to the conclusion that a lot of it is also falling back on our coaches and what they need to do, and they were really proactive and went out there and helped remind the coaches that they're also models for the kids on the field, and how they behave will typically carry out onto that, and that brought our numbers way down. As we enter the boys season, it's always higher. There's always more conflict on the field, but just remind yourself before you walk on that pitch that you're not doing an ECNL or a academy game for the Sounders, and just keep it simple. Call the fouls, keep the game under control, so that the games don't go to where we result in the abusive foul language or serious foul plays or violent conducts that we saw at the levels we did last year. So keep it tight, please.
Vasilius, I see you got your hand up.
Yes. So before we move on, and we're on the high school games, I have a quick question about last season. I had an incident that one of the coaches was drunk. And literally, when we checked the teams and we handshake with the coach before we start the game, he was literally smell the alcohol when he's talking about. So during the game, we start the game. It didn't happen something, but during the game, it happens that we have 2 red cards because 2 players from the team, they start fighting each other. It was like one game done federal way. You probably remember. They fight each other, and then we stopped the game. We didn't start the second on the beginning of the second half. We stopped the game, and we didn't continue because it was like one of the coaches didn't want to continue of the safety of the players and stuff. So that never happens to me. In my entire career, I never have the same incident with the coach was drunk. It's just that question to throw there in case we can have something to discuss later on down the road for something like that.
Right, and I think Vasilius, after that game, I mean, you reported that to Ryan and or I, which we then did follow back up with the school to let them know of the concern of the crew. I think Vasilius, that's a great example where based on the coaches and their not being comfortable with restarting the second half, you all agreed to end the game and be done. And then that's something that the schools can sort out the next day. Would you want to add, Ryan?
Oh no, I think that's a good example of the opportunity to call before the game. If you do identify that, definitely, also as a reminder, like the site administrator, make them aware if you feel like, there is a potential issue there. And then of course, yeah, you followed up with us after the game, and we got that over to the school. But that's, I think, all you can do in those situations. Probably shouldn't start if they are intoxicated. I have had to go remove a referee from the field one time, so because the school called me, so I went and relieved that official. And so it kind of goes both ways, but I think those are different ways to approach that situation where you feel the coach may be under the influence.
Ryan, you brought up a great point earlier about, as we start these boys high school games, this isn't ECNL or academy games anymore. We don't have the technical game that we've been enjoying over the last few months. One of the things I often hear club coaches talk about is they're always scared to send their players to go play high school seasons. and that's kind of twofold. One, they feel that the high school coaches coach in a different way and undo the things that they've taught their players. But two, they do feel that there's a lot more injuries during the high school game than there are in maybe club play. And I think a lot of that is all of us who've been officiating high school sports know that, we no longer are just reffing a U17 game where we have all 16-year-olds. We're now reffing a game that is really U15 through U19. And we have all different ages, all different body types, all different body sizes. And as the officials, it's our job to put our safety officer hat on and provide that safe environment. And so if we need to be calling more fouls because we've got somebody out there who's sliding all around because that's what that's how they've learned how to play soccer, then we've got to clean that up and teach them that that's not how soccer's played, because we can't have reckless tackles happening all over our pitch. One last thing before I talk about this slide a little bit, Dave, what words of wisdom do you have for this group of fine individuals as we enter the spring season here? And Dave's an important person in our high school world. He is the one that runs our state cup semifinals and finals weekends, and helps us to put all the right pieces together to provide a great environment for that weekend as the top teams across the whole state compete for being state champions for each of the different levels.
You're nice. You're kind. So it takes you and a lot of other people, Brian Arms and all that, to make the high school stuff work. What gets us in trouble is what I wrote down was work harder at saying less and spend more time having a better understanding of the ages. And I saw Ray put a note in the chat about the different ages, body types, and sizes. It's hard. I get countless text messages and phone calls of I do ECNL and I do select and I do all this stuff. And I wish everybody was honest when they came back after doing their high school, launching themselves into the high school world and saying, you're not in Kansas anymore. It's not the same stuff. So there's a lot of people here, for the rest of you on the call, Ryan and Brian Arms and Ray and Richard. We all want you to be successful here, believe it. And we've all experienced some tough moments. So we're here to help you. We want you to do well. We want to give everybody the chance to be out there and take care of it. So that's all. Say less. Work on saying less out there. It gets you in trouble. That's all.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. Those are good. Those are good words of wisdom, Dave. I think the more we talk, the bigger hole we dig. So what's next? I know for those of you who are wanting to continue to advance your referee career, there is a fitness test on March 17th. If you're not signed up for that, get signed up for it. Those of you who are referee advanced and higher, you can go to the Pro Clinic on March 23rd. That clinic is also available on the Washington Refs website, and I encourage you to sign up for that. That is always a great event. Both Washington Youth Soccer and Washington Premier League still have their U10 through, I guess I need to change that slide. I think it's actually now U8 through U14 State Cup events coming up here at the end of April, beginning of May, as well as the high school age girls State Cups. If you're interested, Craig Allen can help you in getting signed up for WPL, and I can help you with Washington Youth Soccer. And then before you know it, we will be done with boys high school season and right into the tournament season of the summer. So please remember, we're about to start another 2.5 months of games, not only the high school games, but all the youth league games on the weekends. And Cascadia Premier League, EPL WA, and UPSL will also be starting here in another month or two, as well as Dave's fancy games that he has. And so you make sure you're pacing yourself and servicing each game that you're officiating. Our referee numbers have gotten better, and so I don't feel like you have to carry the weight on your shoulders for getting all the games covered. So pace yourself, challenge yourself. If you're looking for higher level games, work with your assigners to get on those higher level games. Make sure you're reaching out to your assigners if you need help with anything. We all don't want you to get hurt, so make sure you're appropriately warming up and getting ready for the kickoff of the season. And then we're still looking for refs, so if you know of a friend who wants to referee, get them into that new referee clinic. And with that, I'm going to let Cody take over and talk about the Referee Academy program.
All right. Thanks, Richard. Left me with 3 minutes. Hopefully 5 slides will be enough.
Sorry
Right.
about that, Cody.
No worries. It's 5 slides. It's not rocket science. So hopefully it'll go fast. All right. Referee Academy. Fancy stuff. What is it? The Referee Academy is aiming to provide guidance and support to new referees and referee advanced, helping them develop skills and confidence necessary to achieve their goals. That's straight out of the policy that I ended up writing for this. The essential parts are we want to develop you to be the best referee that you can, and give Wayne a really hard time in picking who he's going to give assessments to for upgrade. So if you're interested in upgrading, or you're interested in being a better referee or a better version of yourself, this would be the thing for you. Obviously I'm involved because I'm kind of running the whole thing. Cameron's going to be helping with instruction, as well as Jonathan McKenzie, who's a friend of ours, as well as the NSO director of mentoring. He does have some stuff that he wants to present as well, so he'll also be instructing as well. So if you're tired of NSO Monday meetings, if you join the Referee Academy, unfortunately, we're going to be meeting on Mondays, specifically the 3rd Monday of the month. It'll be on Zoom, but I plan to do this in person. I just don't have the logistics to say we're going to do in person right now. So the plan is to go in person eventually, but we'll be starting off on Zoom. A big old laundry list of stuff that I plan on presenting and helping you get better at as referees. A few are pretty basic and fundamental, aimed towards like newer referees, specifically the upgrading and the recertification parts. And then there's a lot more advanced topics, such as how to 4th official, because we don't have those very often anymore. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, we have a lovely QR code that you can scan and get yourself in, and probably not tonight because I'm fighting COVID off, but probably tomorrow I will have the link up on the What's New section on the NSO website. So there'll be 2 places that you can find it. And yeah, that's the whole spiel. Finished right at 8 on the dot. Any questions, comments, or concerns for either myself or Richard?
So Cody, I see one of the questions is when do you plan on kicking this off? So I'm guessing your first meeting potentially is going to occur the 3rd Monday of March.
Hopefully, depending on numbers and all of that stuff. If it doesn't make sense to do it in March, we'll push it back a month, but the plan is to hopefully have it start in March, maybe April. April might be safer now that I'm thinking about it. March or April. That's going to be my answer.
Any other questions tonight?
Great question, Greg. How long does it run for? It runs until one of two things happens. One, you decide that you've gotten everything out of it that you can, and you decide it's no longer a fit for you, or you become a regional referee, in which case you then graduate out, as I like to put it.
Okay, well, it is quiet, so I'm not seeing any more questions comment. Thank you, Cody. You got us over the finish line just in the nick of time. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
So with that, everyone, we'll end our February meeting. I appreciate you all participating. Look forward to seeing you on the pitch during boys high school season. And I hope that all of you got a chance to get the QR code, or you can just pick up on the What's New section to get signed up for the Referee Academy, if that's something that interests you. And with that, wish everyone a good night. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.